Welcome to the November 12th, 2014 City Council Finance Subcommittee. This is being audio and video recorded. And first item of business tonight would be minutes from the prior meeting of October 22nd. Chance to see them?
Move to be accepted. Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes from 10/22/14. All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor's communication, anything?
No, you have a lot of things on your agenda.
Okay, we'll move.
Yep.
Public speak? Okay. We'll just, if we could just go down, yeah, we're going to go down to, because Tina's here and we'll let her go as fast as we can here. We're going to start with the retirement board request for a COLA based on $2,000. Tina, you obviously gave us a lot of material, and obviously they're going to we'll ask you a few questions. But in terms of timing, I would assume nothing could be done now until, it would move through the process. I'm just saying the next increase for retiree, they've got one in July, correct? So this would be coming next July.
Correct.
So.
It would be for 2000.
Okay, so we could take a meeting or so to look over the
So it'll be for fiscal 16?
Correct.
right. Okay, so JP, you weren't here when Tina came. This is the retirees today, and under 12. These are the ones that are making under 12,000. Okay, in a pension. That's what they're getting.
Right.
They get 3% of that. So if you make the $5,000, you're just getting 3% of the 5,000.
That's if they vote for 3% COLA.
Right. That's assuming. I'm just saying that's because that's kind of what it's been over the last.
Have they
Up to
ever voted
3%.
lower?
Yes, but
They have?
then it got revised.
Right.
I think they voted the 2.1 at one point, and that was back in the
And they got a lot of guff, so they
2000.
revised
I
it?
think so. So they increased that.
So all of them would get that up to the pension in the first line. The second line would be people that make over 16, obviously, and this would move the COLA up to 14,000. So the maximum, I figure, would be, assuming it was a 3% COLA, the maximum anyone could get, whether you're this $52,000 person or you're this $24,000 person, would be $420 a year. That would be the maximum.
But
Right now, it's $360 a year. So in a sense, it's $60.
Right, and that
60.
increase the increase went from $9,000 to $12,000 in 1997.
That was the last time we did it?
That was the last time that it was allowed.
Because I know you were up.
It was allowed to be changed.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean- I know that you were up. You came to the city council, I want to say
2010.
2010.
We didn't approve it,
And we didn't
Chris.
approve it.
No, as a matter of fact, it was probably 2008, the market tanked, and we did lose quite a bit, and our assets weren't doing very well, and we dropped our unfunded liability went pretty far up, and we were back down to like 62% or something like that, 62, 68, I can't recall. And over the last 3 or 4 years, our assets have increased quite a bit, and so we're now funded up to 73%. So,
You said 72?
I think we're in 68. I think.
So we denied you in 2010.
Correct.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Melissa, do you have any idea what this will cost us? A lot of
You want me to
people in
give
the third column.
Yeah, I know what it'll cost you.
I'd like to know.
Well, it's basically a 2% increase over normal costs over the entire length of the payback, the normal cost. Like I did a comparison of the analysis at 12 and the analysis at 14. It's a 2% increase every year of normal costs.
So to put it in dollar figures,
It's forever.
I understand that, but next year, we would have to raise this budget line by 2%.
No. It's an 8.1% increase over last year.
8.1.
But that's based on the appropriation schedule that the board chose. So, and it does include the $14,000 COLA base.
Okay, but 8.1% is accurate to what the budget will be hit with?
That's what it's gonna be.
But that's not just to pay the COLA, that's also to pay some of the unfunded liability?
Correct,
Right,
correct,
so I mean, it's not, that's not going to the raise.
right,
It's not just a COLA then?
No, I think some of it's gonna be to pay down the unfunded liability.
correct,
So we have to pay for that anyway.
correct.
So I guess what I'm asking is, what part of the 8.1% is the COLA? Do you have any idea, Melissa?
I don't think it's a 3% because, it might be 3% because then it's going to, we kept it at a total percent of increase of 5% throughout the schedule. Again, that's going to be for 2 years until we get an actuarial done again. And then it could change. You know, we could have a lower cost or whatever. But the unfunded liability from the last time that we had our actuarial done went from 19 million to 16 million. So right now it's 16 million.
Not because we added $3 million, but because the fund increased as a result of the market doing better and the investments doing better.
Correct.
As the investments did very poorly back in 2008. Not only for East Hampton
lost.
retirement, but all the retirement, everyone, private, public sector, et cetera.
Everybody.
Maybe I can ask it a different way, maybe if you have it, or maybe when Melissa gets back. What was do we know the dollar figure that was paid to COLAs on the retirement for last year?
Good question.
The dollar
The
figure
dollar
last
figure.
year.
Just for all the
For
COLAs?
the entire year, I think it was probably around $42,000. I can visualize it,
Okay.
but I can't.
So you're saying let's use
Yeah,
let's
that.
use
I think the year
approximate,
before was
okay.
around 35.
42K.
And that would be giving, well, I guess some don't get the 3%. So now we're only going to add,
Well, everybody gets 3%.
right,
Of whatever they have up. If they have less than $12,000, they're getting 3% of.
We're
what
adding
they're-
$2,000 to the limit, which increases everybody, a lot of people.
$60.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
60
And
bucks.
and how many do we have in
Because
the,
everybody, even the people that are making 50 grand, they can only get 3% of 14,
Right.
not 3% of 50.
Right,
Right.
3% of 14 instead of 3% of 12.
12?
Right, and
Correct.
so that extra 2,000 is $60
But somebody,
So it's $60 per person.
increase
but these ones that are making...
from the year before,
I'm sorry.
from the 12,000, right?
Right. But these ones that are making under 12
Right.
are still going to only get 3% of 6 or 3% of 4,
Right.
5.
Right. They
They're
are
not
not
going
Last
to be...
page, on the last page of this,
Okay.
I have, on the first column, there's 57 people that are earning under 12.
That are under 12.
Right, I
Okay.
have 10 people that are between the
Between the 12 and 15.
And I have 86 people that are over 16.
Okay.
The highlighted ones that are the accidental disabilities, and those we don't have control over. It's 72% of their income, and you know, typically they aren't usually included in a lot of the information, but I included them because they are entitled to a
So
COLA
it's
as
3
well.
times 86. That's
So-
a little bit more.
Correct me if I'm wrong in my accounting here. If we have 96 people, the 10 and the 86.
And 57.
No, they
No,
don't get it.
they're not, it's not going to really change for them.
That's not
The
gonna change
increase
for them,
isn't going to
because they're not above 12.
Because they're not
First
above
line,
12, the
they only get-
$2,000 doesn't give them any.
Any more,
It's
right.
only affecting people having a pension larger than 12,000
So-
up to 14.
Right.
So if we had 96 people that are going to benefit from this, at $60
You're not doing the correct analysis.
Okay.
Who is? Give us the right numbers.
You're increasing the liability for everyone forever. So next year, to actually pay it out costs one thing, and that's the math you're doing.
That's what I wanted to
The
know.
appropriation that we have to give the retirement board is based on the liability of increasing that COLA base for me,
Right.
for Jane,
Yeah.
for Tina,
Oh, in the future.
forever,
Okay.
because I'm gonna live forever.
Well, we do hope that. We're just trying to see if the city can afford this. Let me put it in those fans, and I need to hear from you
So that's
guys.
what I'm saying, is it's a 2% increase of the normal cost over what we currently have. I did that, what I did is this. From the old one to the new one. It's a 2% increase of the normal cost of the ongoing liability every year. So in this first year, based on
$5,000.
the schedule that we picked, there was gonna be an increase anyway. And so we picked this increase we picked the schedule that was most normalized throughout the payback. It's a 3.1% increase over what it would be if we didn't opt for the increase to the COLA base, but that's because they can't increase this year. So it kind of gets blended into next year, and then it's about a 2% increase going forward, over what it would have been. Not, it's not 2% over what we got, it's 2% over what it would have been if we hadn't opted for this.
So 2%, give me a number. I mean, I'm looking at some numbers, I'm looking at, okay, you said $60 times 86
Well,
people.
I was doing, it's gonna cost about $5,760, just pure
2%.
dollars from last
Let
year
her
to
tell
this
us, I think we're getting
It's
it.
2% of the normal cost, like when you get the
I
schedule,
don't have that.
when you get the schedule for the
Where's
appropriations.
the schedule with the normal cost?
The normal cost for 2015 was $809,100.
Right.
So that's the normal cost.
I didn't see that.
I don't
number-
see that.
We don't have that paper.
Unless it's this one.
And but
Yes,
that's something
this
that
one
you
here.
get from someplace else, but the normal
Yeah,
cost
that one.
is that minus whatever the employee deductions are.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Let me put this in different terms. Can the mayor and Melissa tell me if they feel we can afford this? I mean, regarding the accounting, this is forever, and we haven't done anything since 1997, I guess. I don't know what the last time we increased this.
It
was 97.
The state kind of.
And we said no in 2010. So my inclination is let's do it, but I'd like to know from you guys how you feel about it. What do you think, Karen? You don't know?
Pretty scary.
It is scary?
I understand that the appropriation
I'm not gonna
changes.
get them.
And then what it is. So, but I understand what you're saying. 'Cause we see it, we understand it, we know, but it's hard to put into words.
Are we allowed to go to 13 instead of 12, 14? Law-wise.
It can only be in $1,000 increments. And I
So we could go to
figured-
13.
Right. But our thought process is,
No, it's just
If we
12
went to the
12 to
14.
13.
and we don't have to come back and ask again in next year. Because you can do, the law says that you can do $1,000 increments up to wherever you think you can afford it.
Up to 14, I thought it was. Oh, we could go up, how hard? We can go as high as we want.
Yep, there's
Oh.
some boards that have gone up to 18,000. There's some that are at 16. You'll see that in.
This one has the list of.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, now I understand.
So out of 105 retirement boards, there's been 55 that have changed their COLA base. Some as the last one was this summer. Some of them voted to do $1,000 increments each year till they reached a certain point.
I don't necessarily need to know the actual figure. I need to know what the finance director and the mayor feel. And if you guys need more time to digest all this, because maybe you weren't as prepared as you'd like to be tonight, I would be happy to wait.
We could certainly put it off. I mean, there's a lot of figures here for us to read too.
Right, I'm just saying, you guys need to absorb the figures and give us a recommendation, because I frankly, I will go with your recommendation. I need to know if the city can afford this. If we want to wait a year or two, that's the way it goes. And I know the retirees deserve it, don't,
And
I understand that, I just have to,
At this point, the retirement board chose to go with this using the $14,000 COLA base. So for the next 2 years, regardless of whether it's voted in or not, that's the dollar amount the city's going to be paying. Because the appropriation has already been voted for, because we need to include it. Because if we didn't include it, then we would.
then why are we here?
Because it had, the $14,000 COLA base has to be approved by the legislative body. The retirement board can approve it, as we did in 2010. But in 2010, we increased the appropriation to include the $14,000 COLA base. It didn't go through. So granted, it helped pay down the unfunded liability, and we did not give our retirees that COLA base increase. following year, we dropped it back down to the $12,000 COLA base because it wasn't voted through. And we
So
waited.
we will pay it this year. If we don't vote it through,
be
next
paid for the
year,
next 2 years.
we won't pay for it.
And then we won't stop asking.
The money will be paid, but it'll be used toward the unfunded
The unfunded
liability.
You can't actually give it to the retirees until we vote.
Correct.
Okay, I understand that. So the money's going out of the budget no matter what we do. But what you're saying, Melissa, correctly, is this is forever if we vote on it.
Right. What's your figure on that, Melissa? Well, that's right, total cost, 1 point.
Well, that's for a period of time.
Right.
That's not.
If you look under from 215 to 228, it's 1.5 million.
What was the vote of the board? Were they,
It was unanimous.
yeah, but like, I believe Melissa sits on the board, so I
Right,
kind of
and-
want to know how she voted at the board. That's,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going around the back door to get her opinion.
That's what I was going to ask, what if, Melissa, if you would fill us in on that meeting and what the reasoning is. I know we wanted to be a little more aggressive of paying down our unfunded liability, but if you
Well,
want to give me a little more. But-
There were 2 votes.
Right.
So the first vote was, do we agree that the COLA base should be increased?
And that was unanimous?
That was unanimous. Then
And that increase was from,
12 to 14,000 per
Okay.
year.
okay, which is,
And then the second vote was, which schedules we want to take.
right.
And we talked about that at length.
And that's where this 8 to 8,555.
Right. Where we took a schedule that was slightly more aggressive to pay down the unfunded liability because it made the increase feel more even and not spike as much. So not go from 9 to 3, so it's going 8 to 5 to 5 to 5 to 5, so that we pay it off quicker, and then I can kind of project, well, it's going to be about a 5% increase.
You lost me on the schedule, Melissa.
We have
Where, do we have the schedule here? The one that you chose, you said you went to a
Well,
board.
right here on this sheet.
On this one here.
In the 8.1%, and then it goes 5, 5, 5, 5.
Mhm.
That's the schedule that they chose.
Can you copy that for us?
We have one.
We have
that.
It's this one here.
I
do have it.
Yeah.
It's a single
At the
sheet, I
bottom.
think,
At the bottom of your pile.
right there.
Oh, I apologize. There we go.
Yeah, to the last column on the right.
And so what I was saying about the normal cost, if you see the normal cost column,
Mhm.
should we not do the increase, that normal cost, right there is 2% higher than if we did it without the increase. That first column changes.
Oh, so the normal cost is without the increase.
No, that's with the increase.
With
But
it.
I happen to know what the cost is without the
Okay.
increase.
Okay.
And so what I'm telling you is that that's where I'm getting my 2%. And that
The
normal
2%.
cost continues beyond the schedule because it's the normal cost. It's not about the unfunded liability, it's about the normal cost of retirement.
Right.
But
Normal
which is generated every year or every 2 years when you do an analysis.
So this schedule shows in 2028, our unfunded liability goes to 0 if all things being positive, good investment strategy, good assets, and things like that. I mean,
What assumptions are we making for the?
that's great. That's not too bad. I've heard of worse.
No, that's great, but my question was what the assumptions are about the investments that
Up
bring us
up
to
at
the
the
0
top
in
corner, 7.75% investment return.
7.75% annually on average,
Right, plus 5%
all those
increasing.
years.
Right.
Now,
Is that aggressive or
I
moderate?
guess my question was to Melissa for the retirement board. Okay, I see how you wanted to be a little aggressive in the first year at the 8.1 and then get it to be more of a, the 5, more flat. What were the what were the other options?
Some of them were higher.
You said one was a 9 and then you go down to a 3.
Right.
But I mean, are there many options or is there kind of basic?
There were 4 options, I
There's
guess.
4 options, but it depended on how long the schedule would go out for.
Right. Like
The
this
reason
goes out
why-
to 2028, so
Right, so the
some,
reason why the first year spiked as much as it did is because when he does an actuarial, he tries to keep the first year at the same cost as it was at the tail end of the last actuarial. So it didn't increase at all for 2015 because he kept it the same as it was for the last actuarial. So that's why it went up the 8.1 to catch up for where it didn't increase for 2015. So, and then it's the
Did you see
last.
the last one?
and I guess, what have we been doing?
$6,000.
We've just been doing the two? What have we been doing in increments, like,
Whatever the schedule is voted.
right, and
So I think
what-
they were about three.
about three?
They were about three.
People put in tables.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the last few years, what it's been.
3 point something.
Okay.
Pull out the last
The-
couple.
But that's, basically the average, what we've been doing in the last few years, like a 3. So this would be the change of, hopping to the 8 and then let one down to the 5s.
I guess I'd be inclined at this point to at least put it over to the next meeting so we can all look at the figures
I think
and kind of get a little better handle on it. 'cause
It's extremely
very
complicated, and I think you both are the ones that are recommending budget, so we need to know what you feel. I mean,
One-
obviously, it's deserved.
One final question, because as we give other people raises, the people, as you give a raise, say, here in the building, there's an increase that goes to the retirement board, right, through that raise? I mean, is that figured into?
It's whatever their percentage of their deduction is.
Right, so
So
if
if they're
they're-
making $100 and now they're making 120, it's whatever, if they're at an 8% deduction rate or a 9% deduction rate, whatever that percentage is on their total price.
Right.
So it does go up.
It does go up as salaries. go up.
Right, and our payment into the retirement goes up also, because we pay a percentage.
Right, a percentage
Right.
of your salary, or whatever.
Right,
And
exactly,
as high as your salary goes, you pay that percentage.
exactly.
I just, okay, well, why don't we table this to Tina? Appreciate you coming in, and we'll, and if any of the counselors have any questions for Tina, certainly,
I think the first question we had about how much would this cost, the FY16 amount reflects an increase of 76,000
Right.
over the 5% to reflect the increase in the COLA base. That sounds like the answer I was asking for.
Okay, where are
you?
you?
Last line on the.
on this sheet here.
Okay.
You know,
right,
that sounds
that's
good,
what
to and I'd like to know, is the 7.75% return, is that
It's a decrease.
that's an average over this entire schedule, though, you're hoping for, right?
That's what we're hoping for, an investment return each year.
Right, so like this year might have been 10 or something,
I
or,
think it was more than that, but it used to be 8%, but they were saying that, that's unrealistic to think that we're going to hold 8%, even though the last.
so this is a conservative,
Correct.
that's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
I think we got, 15% last year and 13 the year before, so.
So our chances of hitting the
Return.
unfunded liability of 0 in 2028 are relatively good based
I
on
would
the
hope so.
conservative?
Yeah, so these are modest investment returns and not,
Did you make projections based on other estimates of returns?
The man, the guy
I
who
don't,
looking
I
at
don't
this
make
little-
these assumptions, the
This is
actuarialist
the
does.
the guy who does gets paid the big bucks to have all the
Made-
numbers in his head.
Came up with
It
7.75%.
used to be 8%, she said.
Right.
So they reduced it to be more conservative toward the investment
Saying
strategy.
invested may.
So that way, and it's an average, 1 year it's 10, 1 year it's 6. In 2008, it was below 0.
So anyway, why don't we put it over to the next meeting, and then I'm sure, I don't know if you can make it, Tina, it would be 2 weeks from today.
The day before
last
Thanksgiving?
Wednesday.
Well, yes, we may have to, hang on one second, Tina.
Right, it is, it's the Wednesday before
How about
Thanksgiving.
if we do the Monday that week or something?
Are you thinking of changing, wait a minute, they're thinking of changing it.
I'm just asking if we want to do it.
This isn't the 5th week. We haven't had, it would be the 26th, it would be the day before Thanksgiving, which
Right.
we obviously don't want. Can we do Monday? Can you do Monday, JP? The 24th?
I can, pretty sure. Can you guys do it, 24th?
I'm gonna grab my
Or the 25th?
There's a lot of guys.
Tuesdays.
My father-in-law's birthday is today, and they're having dinner at 6.
Today?
Yeah, tonight.
You forgot?
Oh, no, I didn't forget. I have to, this is where we have to be, so everyone else is, he's
They-
only 80.
They made it for a Wednesday.
Oh, Actually,
one of
that
the-
Tuesday, I think you all received invitations to the induction ceremony at Easthampton High School.
Oh, yes,
Isn't that the,
yes, that's the
come on, Honor
National Honor
Society.
Society.
So we have to do
Thank you.
Monday or nothing, or the following week, which
Well,
is
I'm
a
good
council
Monday.
meeting, we can't do that.
Tina's the only one, I mean, I don't want
Monday's
to...
my mom's birthday on the 24th, and I was
You aren't
thinking-
taking her out,
No,
no?
no, but she's gonna be 80.
You're not taking her out?
No, we just go to her house and bug the hell out of her, maybe she'll cook, no.
That's horrible.
Are you kidding me? Come on.
Bring your cooking meeting.
And that Wednesday.
Bring it, yeah.
We promised to make it fast for you.
I was gonna take that day off.
All right,
But
well,
that, I mean, don't do based on my schedule, I mean, if you.
well, we have to do it that week, because the following week is a council meeting.
Right.
Yep.
Or we could do it the Monday after.
I mean, we could do it, there's probably no, you want to go to the next...
December 1st.
December 1st?
Nope,
Well-
can't do that one.
Hang on.
Or November? yeah.
Well, hang on, I'm-
Can't do-
Well, can we get Karen and Melissa here on the 24th?
To me, yes. You can get, yep, that's Monday the 24th, Melissa.
So why don't we do the 24th? If Tina, if you
Okay.
have any other information you want to give us, we know you're
If we have any questions, Tina, we can email you or something, and you'll get us a question, because, I mean, I'm sure reading it between now and then. If you can't make it, you know, we can always leave it open if you have any concerns, but we can at least talk to the mayor and Melissa. And,
Actually, that Monday really works well. That saves us instead of Wednesday night, Monday, that works.
So our next meeting is going
I
to
might
be
bring her ice cream or something.
November 24th, right? Is that what we decided on?
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah, one time you stand for mom.
I'm open to other days if,
The 24th is fine, and if you choose the
I just
26th, then
think that
that'll
the
work.
following week is December 1st, and we have a...
December 1st
council
is a
meeting.
no for me.
right.
Right.
And she can't come, so...
Nope, and I'm, yeah, no.
We need the mayor.
We'll do it on the 24th. As I said, that may even go another meeting if we're slow.
Well, we haven't...
Well,
If you need some more information that I think I can get,
Right,
just
just-
certainly ask
just-
for it, and I'll see where I
And see
can.
if you can...
Yeah,
Okay,
Thank
as
you.
I said, once we read through this, it may...
yeah, it might clear it up, and it might confuse you.
Right, maybe. Thank you, Tina.
All right,
It
thank
is
you.
very confusing. Thank you, Tina.
Okay, where's my agenda?
Say happy birthday to your mom if we don't
Yeah,
see
happy
you.
birthday.
Okay, that's getting back to,
Want to do the COLAs?
yes, we'll go to the raises you want to do, right? I mean, the...
Stabilization, I don't care, whatever. you
Where
want.
are we?
Let's go back up to continuing business, and, because I know Dan doesn't feel particularly well, although he seems to be, he's rallying.
Coffee is good, healthy.
But we might as well deal with the review of elected salaries, and maybe we can come to some type of...
I think we decided the last meeting that because of the unemployment issue, boards and committees, we're not going to do it.
Right.
Can I write that in?
How you doing?
Hi, I was with the finance committee.
You got it.
This is it.
This is it.
Oh, Pat Wilcutt's Morgan Stanley,
Oh,
What's the subject, retirement board?
to talk about the library funds.
oh, I think you must maybe have the are you looking for the library meeting?
No, usually we meet with Dennis and Ron.
That's library board.
Yeah.
That's your this is the finance subcommittee of the city council.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
library board might be
Okay.
If
downstairs.
We must be meeting in the basement.
I was just gonna say, do you know where they're all posted? I'd be happy to go out and see where that meeting is. They're posted on the wall as you first come in, but I'd be happy
Okay.
to go out with you.
Well, you know what, I spoke to them about an hour ago, and they said it was either gonna be in this room or downstairs.
There's probably just, there's only 2 meeting rooms
Yeah.
So,
downstairs.
Yeah.
yeah, go
Okay.
downstairs. You'll
Okay.
find-
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe we could use your help.
So,
I thought it was here for the actuarial
Maybe we can
stuff.
get how many percentage he thinks we're going to go up on the investment.
can I
We shouldn't have told them it was
make
wrong.
that
Yeah, they
statement
should.
as part of the record
Sit down.
that we do feel that boards and committees
Yes.
should not be?
Right, give
I'm
it
down.
a little of the unemployment. I
Given
think
what
that's-
Melissa said about the unemployment issue, boards and committees should not be increased or raised or added.
He's just saying boards and committees, multiple.
I'm comfortable with no new additions. That was one question. I mean, if the more you bring on, then you're exposing greater liability. You're already exposed for certain liability now on the boards that we have. So I see it as a separate
I
question.
see what you're saying. Okay, well then
It's
let's...
such a small amount for each of them. My thinking was, there are certain committees that do very important work that we give them nothing. But I see why we shouldn't. But, you know, I'm okay keeping it as it is for the others, because they haven't asked for anything. They get a little money.
I'm comfortable keeping it as it is. I know that, again, of course, I'm a little more against keeping everybody as they are, so it just, you know.
Here. After that, retirement.
So I feel that way. What about you?
I certainly felt that
Which boards
they
do
were
you,
moving in the direction of Public Works.
But they don't have anything now. You can't add to them.
they get 300 now,
They do get.
Public Works. Remember, I think, because
I thought the BPW didn't get anything. We asked.
You know, they do.
they get 300, I believe, 300 a year. But again,
We give them, we have to give everybody.
I mean, I don't know why,
Such a small
and again,
amount.
I have nothing against the Board of Public Works, but I guess my wisdom would have been when it was started, why did they get 300 and somebody like...
Jude has been on the board.
And something like the
forever,
planning
and
board.
I asked him specifically, do you guys want an increase? Remember the first night he said, no, we don't.
Then let's leave it.
All right. So consensus.
So we got a consensus on the
So we
boards and committees.
we have the mayor, the council, and the
School
school committee.
Let's start at the top with the mayor.
At
Dan,
least
you talked 10 to 5 to 10.
5 to 10. Are we
And-
willing, and I want to make sure we understand that this is not, it's been 10 years?
Right.
8 years, 10 years?
2010 was the $70,000 salary went in for the mayor.
So
It became
the time-
effective, 2010.
but
This
was
one would
voted
be,
on in 2008.
right, this one would become effective
2016.
January of 16. So.
That's 6 years.
6 years. It's a 6-year spread.
Did everyone see the article in the paper
Yeah, with the Northampton.
with Northampton?
Right. Now, they have a committee. They obviously do a different,
Yeah, he gave us this tonight.
I have a copy
Oh.
of their report. I didn't have a chance to make any copies.
oh, that's okay. I did read it. I
They,
mean,
they moved, they're making a recommendation to move from 80,000
to
92.5
92.
for the mayor.
And to me, given our size and their size, they're twice the size of the city.
You know, I don't think that really means as much as it sounds in terms of,
Percentage of the
you
budget.
still have to work the same amount of time, you still have the same, you still have departments.
Hey, I'd give
you have a
Karen
fire-
50 grand increase, but we can't afford it, so.
Well, that's what it comes down to.
what figure would, just talking the mayor, JP, what,
Right.
Dan was 5 to 10. I was saying that, well, I didn't want to, until everybody was back 100%, I didn't want to give anybody a raise, but I did look at the mayor as a position, and that is full-time, so I think that certainly deserves a little more consideration, and I talked the 5. I kind of like the low end, but I guess I'd like to know what, your thought.
I certainly haven't made up my mind whether it should be 0, 5, or 10. And one of the reasons is your strong argument at the last meeting to have the employees who had lost their hours worth of time until they're replaced, maybe there shouldn't be a raise.
I don't agree on the mayor's point. I do agree. I would agree on this.
Across the board.
But that,
So,
but the point on,
yeah, I think that's a strong position, strong argument you had. And so I had asked Melissa at that last meeting to see whether,
Oh, I didn't run the numbers.
We're
Just to
wondering
come
how
up with
many
some numbers
people-
to see.
How many people are like 45, 42?
I
but
did,
all of the pay plan employees did get a COLA increase, even though they did not get, they're not at 35 hours.
And they're now getting their steps. They're getting COLAs.
They're getting
and
steps
which-
now. I don't think that argument, for me, that argument works for city councilors who are part-time and school committee members. You know, if you're getting elected because you want to earn $3,000, that's ridiculous. So I'm in favor of that. Plus hearing the retirement board and our quivering back and forth about their raise, I'm ready to say 5,000, but not to give her anything, not her,
No.
the mayor, anything is, to me,
Well-
a mistake. It's been 6 years.
I did factor out a 1.5 from 2010 going to 2006, and it would be right around 76,000. So I think I would be comfortable with
7,000?
75 for the mayor, which I was last week. And I would be kind of against the council and the school committee this time, but I think with the caveat, I think the next time, it might be time for the council and to get.
Well, we went about 10 years before we even raised the council.
Right. That's been actually a couple of years
96,
longer than the mayor.
96 that we became the city.
96 is exactly when it happened.
Yes.
So,
That's why I said the
I'm
council was...
okay with 7,500, that's a good point. That's a good way to argue it, 1.5% over 6
Right,
years.
it would be just a little over 75, and it's 70 now, so I mean, we go 5,000, I think that's a reasonable thing, it's no more than...
7,500 is what you just said.
I've said 75,000, meaning 5,000. It went to 7,600 was with 1%, so I was saying, in other words, $5,000 raise would take it from 70 to 7,500. I was trying to be a little conservative. I didn't say 70.
Oh,
I didn't
so
say
what's the
7,000.
raise at 1.5%? I misunderstood.
5,000.
No, it's actually 70, it would be if you had given, the mayor, I won't say, the
Oh,
position
if
of
you
mayor.
actually did it,
As the years went on, you would accumulate it to a little over 76,000. So I was saying if we raise it to 75, it would actually be the mayor getting slightly less than the workers, which I think
That's a good signal.
would be very comfortable.
I'm fine with that. What about, are you okay with that, JP? Well, we can make a motion.
I would be inclined to say yes if we were to have an indication from either the mayor or the finance director that it looks like by 2016, we would be returning the employees to their normal hours.
Do you
Yeah.
want me to kind of?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sure, that's why I'm asking.
Well,
What do you think?
What we're trying to do, and like we usually try to share anything that, anything that's going on. We're trying to restructure a little, okay? Some of our department heads, one of yours is the auditor. She has her 35 hours. There are some that have their 35 hours back. The rest are, the rest of them that don't have their 35 hours are down to, 34. So they've got everything but 1 hour. There's a lot to play in it. We're looking at restructuring a lot of things here. We're looking at coordinating different efforts, to save money, coordinating different efforts, with the school administration and ourselves, like maybe, I'm just going to throw out a few things, just, centralizing payroll, just a lot of things to try to conserve and,
Improve efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. Restructuring, like what the offices need. We know we don't have ability to hire new staff, that type of thing. So restructuring a little bit. There is I guess the best way to put it, the managers that have received their hours back are the ones that have been working them.
They work them and they work more.
So they're already working those hours, whether they...
Even though they didn't...
Well, they have them.
Maybe they're working.
No.
They're working.
No. There are people that you'll see here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They have them. There are others that don't have them and haven't expressed a need.
That was
It's
my
not
next
a-
question. Have you had any complaints from the ones that aren't up to...
They're
No,
used to
and-
having less time and they like it.
And having the...
I was going
Right,
to say, that's probably...
The
more
other
than
problem we
it is.
have, and, we can jump right in with both feet, is the Fridays. We have key personnel that have been hired on a 4-day schedule. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Our pays are not as high as surrounding communities, as you know, and that makes us attractive. That's one of the things that, people do come here because of the 4-day work week. So that
point.
hour isn't going to get you the Friday back. So, you know what I mean? It's an hour, and what you're going to get from that is people saying, okay, well, great, we'd like a half an hour for lunch instead of an hour. So, or you're going to get a 7:30 a.m. start the 2 days that we come in at 8. So we're looking at it from a productivity point on this end, and what you're going to get for that 1 hour isn't, I think, I think maybe in hindsight, okay, we'll give the hour back, we'll go back to 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. That's not going to be feasible because, and it's not just the personnel, it's key personnel, city planner, auditor, finance director. It's very important positions that are vital to our operations that have been hired with the Friday off. So to go back to it, and just giving an extra hour, to give an extra hour, we're not getting the demand for that time back. And again, and I'll go back to saying what we've also decided, when we see people that need the extra time and are working extra time, those people have received their extra hour back. And again, vital to get their positions done. There has not been one person that has come to me and said, geez, I really need that extra hour to get my job done. So
I
we're
haven't.
still using it as efficiency. And we're trying to restructure, we're trying to save anywhere we can. And under, my administration, and also with, Melissa has agreed that as long as I'm here, and as long, with Melissa too, but they will get their steps and they will get their COLAs. So that is something that sometimes didn't happen for 5 years in a row.
Yes, it
So we're
did.
trying to
That's
treat,
why I brought it
we
up.
have nine groups of people, 8 are bargaining units and 1 is not. So we're trying to get, the fairness back. And it is, so I guess what we're worried from on our end is the 1 hour is not going to bring back Fridays, and what is we know the financial
Right.
part of it, what we're going to pay out, and what are we going to get back for it?
So what I'm hearing is the steps and the COLAs hadn't been in place before for up
They were
to
in
5
place.
years.
They were in place.
They weren't paid. They weren't paid.
Thank you.
They weren't paid.
1 year, and it wasn't like last year, but at one point in time, and as you well know, because, we're, the
We had
3 of us sitting here, our K plan people, we went 5 years without a step, and those are guaranteed to all your bargaining groups. How many steps they have, on their anniversary, that's how they were signed to give out. So we went 5 years without that, and we went many years without COLAs. We were never matched
So
to
those
the...
have been restored.
Yes.
Everybody likes the 4-day work week, it seems, for the most
It's
part.
attractive to
Public is
managers,
not
apparently.
having an outcry.
No.
Well, I was going to say, I haven't heard
We
any,
haven't
nobody
heard-
complained to me, I can't get
No.
into the city.
I know,
on Friday.
and honestly, it's a trend. It's a trend that most
Cities and
towns
towns are
and
doing.
cities are shooting to that. It's a new trend, and we have not heard anything negative has come our way. And we've been doing, research as to who comes in, and, if they're coming, like we've extended, like we've got the 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night, and we've got the 7:30, trying to
Early
get
morning.
both ends of the spectrum. So,
My thinking on this has always been it's a COLA. I'm glad to hear, and I hope you can maintain.
Me too.
I think former administration treated pay plan employees differently than the unions, of course, because he could. I would rather see that the pay plan employees, if you give 1.5% to your bargaining units, then you need to give it to the pay plan employees.
that's what we've been doing.
And I'm happy to hear that. I think you've been doing that. So my point on this, which is where you are at 1.5%, we've given everybody that's a full-time employee, unless I'm mistaken, a
We did.
1.5%, except the mayor. The mayor, and we have to do that we have to do it every term. It doesn't even go into play until fiscal, 17. So,
And I do want you to know that we are restoring that 1 hour when it's obvious that it's needed,
well, yeah, you said that, yeah.
So,
Some are.
Well,
Yes.
you make great point about the Friday and the managers and that being attractive because we can't pay what other cities are. I'm ready to move for 5K. Can we do that?
I'll second that.
So 5 on the mayor.
Yep, so motion and
Right, motion a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
and I'm ready to move nothing on other elected officials. That's where I am with that.
JP?
JP's not ready for that. You want to talk more? We're in discussion stage.
We're in discussion.
I mean, I would go along with Dan but as I said, with the caveat that, then again, you can't control what the next finance does, but maybe that's the time to look at it. Everybody will be settled in and...
How many years has it been for the council?
It's actually been 2 longer than the mayor, but again, it's a part-time position.
10 years.
It's a part-time position, and I know Northampton's
And
going
it's-
higher, but they're taking away health insurance.
Right.
But let me say this.
And they,
I don't like the perception. If we deny the retirement board this $2,000
absolutely.
increase and we give ourselves a raise, come
no,
on.
absolutely,
Hearing what that is, and maybe we can't afford it, and I'm waiting, we might not be able to afford that. It's a lot of money. We can't give ourselves a raise. She's a full-time, mayor's a full-time employee. That's a different subject altogether. I don't want that. If we give the retirement board that, then next term, we're good to go.
I mean, I would rather, again...
I'm not going to not run again because I didn't get a raise. That's what you're trying to do. Get me out.
I'm just looking at the other communities and what they pay.
Yes, they do.
We pay,
Right.
I think we have to
and
look
we're
at
at
ways
the,
that they can do it.
and
But I mean, if you could do that with the mayor too, I think just even with the $5,000 increase, JP, I think the mayor of Easthampton is still gonna be paid much lower than most
think
every
the-
other community. So again, Easthampton, I guess, has a tradition, can I call it,
Well,
tradition of
we're-
hardworking people at a, but being somewhat fiscally conservative, so I guess that would be,
I guess we put it out in line, we're the lowest paid councilors
yeah, I
in
think
the
there was,
state.
wasn't there one other,
All right, then I move for a $20,000 pay.
No, I'm just saying that the East Hampton councilors are the
No, no,
lowest paid councilors for any city in Massachusetts.
I think there was one lower, but I'm trying to,
Well,
maybe North Adams or something.
Well, North Adams and Greenfield are paid
Are they-
the same. Those communities have far smaller median household incomes than East Hampton's median household income, which to me indicates a trend that I think we want to see continue to East Hampton. We want to see the median household incomes increased. I think we're making some of the right moves. We want to be sure that those who we are asking to make important legislative decisions for the city.
You know what, I'm willing to revisit this if they come back and say we can afford the retirement. I don't want to influence this. You guys feel you can, or not, retirement board, but if they feel that we can't afford it, I'll never vote for this. I think that's horrible, personally.
No,
But if they come back and say that, your point is well taken, but if they come back and say that this is not affordable this year, et cetera.
Again, I think.
The major point I have is that it's below, the minimum wage is going to $11 an hour in 2000, I believe 2015.
I know you showed us that.
But the minimum wage is going to that, and we're far below the minimum wage as councilors.
Well, I'm looking
I
at
guess-
myself like a board and committee that gets nothing. I want
I
to do
know.
public service.
And
I'm happy I
We all
get.
want to do public service.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
why
but
we're
I'm happy
here.
I get the
That's why we're
$3,000.
here.
That's great, but the point I'm trying to make is, that's not why
I
But there are
guess,
people making decisions not to run for the council because
I doubt it. They don't want the hassles. I'm
What do you
serious.
mean, the calls from the
I don't get many calls. I
We
get
enjoy
one
the,
call,
we enjoy
and I tell the
I guess
mayor about
my-
it, she
we enjoy
yells
the
at me,
meetings.
so
I guess my thought is,
I
you
got
know,
one call.
we're just crawled out of this.
We're just crawling out.
We're just
I-
crawling
I
out of
agree. I agree.
one of the worst downturns, and maybe a lot of these other communities, and again, we have to decide for East Hampton, but maybe a lot of the other communities are being a little,
I think
going a little too fast forward, raising all
we
this
can
stuff.
rationalize.
I mean, I'd like to see a couple more years of
I'm with you.
steady growth, and I would have trouble voting the council.
I certainly would too.
And as I said, I will be willing to say in public hearing that it's something I really think the next finance board in the next election should take a good hard look at. But I just think I'd like to see at least 2 more years of the same.
I think we could easily rationalize the mayor's position as a
absolutely.
1.5% like everybody else, the only full-time employee in our community that has gotten no raise in 6 years. We could argue that.
Well, when you
We're
start
not
talking
full-time.
part-time,
Yeah.
nobody's taking this
We're
as a
not giving
job.
boards and committees anything, even the ones we could. Let's wait on the council. We haven't gotten anything from the school committee. They haven't asked me for anything. They know we're talking
They have
about it.
not. So, just for the record, Northampton is going to $9,000 from $5,000 for their precinct council.
Yeah, but they have to
ward
vote on
council.
resolutions
Just finish.
against the
I just want to
war.
put it on the record, what they're doing, so that when we vote not to give any increase, the public understands what's happening around us. That the at-large councilors in Northampton, the recommendation was for $9,500, and for the city council president is $10,000.
And the city
I
of
move to
Northampton.
leave it as is for our councilors.
Well, I have the motion. All right, good. All in favor?
We have a motion, Dan, and a second, or you were in motion and Dan's a second?
I moved,
Okay, Dan's a second.
there was no second to Dan's.
Dan, second.
He
So,
just seconded.
3-0.
We have a motion, and a second, to keep the other elected officials, I believe the city council and school committee, at the current rate.
Right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
So we can make this recommendation
Well,
to the next council.
that's my next question for you two gentlemen, because you've been on longer than me. I've never been here when we've raised that, and we have to get it done, if I read the ordinance right. We have to get it, it has to be,
The charter says we have to do it by
it has to be
January 1st.
approved by January 1st. So does this have to go,
It's not a public hearing.
okay, but does it
It's a
have to go
council
to a ordinance or anything?
No.
This
It's a
has to
council
go-
vote.
It's a council.
It's a council vote. We'd have to do an ordinance if we were to add a fee to someone who doesn't have it.
Okay.
We
So,
could raise something that already exists.
so all that would have to be done is this would be brought up at the next council meeting.
Now, if we want the public to know about it, we could We don't have to have a public hearing. But transparency,
Well-
we could say, we're going to vote on this, we're making this recommendation, Mr. President, we'll vote on it at the next meeting.
That's what I was just going to say. I think what I would like to do is as guess as the
Invite the
chair.
public, if they'll hear it.
Right, as the chair, I guess I would like to say that this is our recommendation, but we will move at the following, which would be the first meeting in December, to approve or disapprove if
That's an excellent
if the
plan.
council.
That's an excellent
And
plan.
now,
And that the public, certainly while we don't have to have a public hearing, it gives the public time
well, they
to
have
weigh
time
in.
to hear about it.
Right.
Okay, maybe they're
So I
going
think that will be a good, I'd like that idea. So I'll bring it up at the next meeting, but we won't vote on it till the first meeting, or we won't.
The other thing I was going to say is
Yes.
Northampton voted for an override, we didn't. So the next time that comes up that they have to vote for an override, they're just going to give each other a raise. We're not going to vote yes. So I think that's fiscally responsible.
And you will say over and over that that is not the current administration, because...
No, I will not say it's your raise, Karen, it's the mayor's position.
People just assume, any increases, that means you're getting an increase.
No, it's not.
The
That
next
increase is
term.
not for this year, it's not
It's the
for...
Mayor
next-
Kessler has to win the next
It's
election.
for whoever wins the next election.
No, I will make that-
2016.
Right.
I will make that very clear, and I
Thank
will
you.
make sure my
Yes.
associates here will chime in with that
Chime
same...
in with that, because
If we
You know,
repeat
we
it,
should all do it as one.
if we repeat it 3 times, it'll...
Oh,
Okay, that's something hopefully off our agenda. Just to, I know because we're getting later into the night, I was hoping Patty or Joe would come on the trailer, only I had a few questions. Is that something they need right away, Karen, or,
can we wait till next meeting?
Yeah, I think you can wait on that.
Again, not that I'm
I didn't-
opposed to it, I was just reading
Right.
I was reading the different bids, and
And Joe's on vacation this week.
each one looked a little different, and a trade-in mentioned on one and not on others, and I just didn't know what, again, I'm certainly willing to give them a trailer if they want.
Right,
So,
I
but if-
didn't hear any urgency, did you? I mean, I got the request, but I didn't hear, I need this now, please try to rush that through, and, Joe's used to the counselors and asking you if it's something,
If-
I didn't hear that,
I'll
but,
definitely put it on
Want to give them-
obviously, the next agenda, and we could even set a public hearing
There
at
you
that
go.
time for the, it'll
There
be
you
1
go.
week, it'll
Yeah.
just be one extra meeting on that. Getting back to the new business, the capital stabilization fund. We have to establish it first, I believe, is that, Karen,
Yes.
you've made a request to
yes.
establish
I hope
it?
that wasn't too confusing.
No,
No.
it sounds like you have to do it by law.
Right.
Right.
And I guess my question would be, and certainly anytime you're going to put money in stabilization, I'm more than
Right.
happy to vote for it. Does this hamper us at all, like if you have 2 stabilization funds? In other words, if we do a capital one,
Mm-hmm.
say we should have a, whatever,
An emergency.
an emergency, is it possible to take money from the capital one, or is that locked up? You know what I'm saying? In other words, say we should have a,
What are the restrictions on it? That's what I'd like.
yes, that's kind of what I guess.
By law, there must be
Well,
restrictions.
I believe that you can change the purpose of the stabilization fund the same way that you withdraw it. So we just do that so that we can, show the planning for, that this is going to be for capital and not for
It's a good thing for
every-
bonding people
Yeah,
that we're planning for.
But I believe that the
Very good.
rules on stabilization is that they can be changed by the council.
Right. No, I absolutely think it's a good
Never.
idea. I just don't
You
want
don't
to,
wanna
I don't want to
try to
hamstring the
do that.
mayor.
So in other words, we suddenly have an emergency.
We have that once in a century hurricane, and we have a need for things.
Well, I think we could vote, what they're saying is we
We
could
could
vote to
change
pull
them.
money out and change the rules in an emergency.
Right.
But what
And-
this is
and you can
doing,
see
if I
we're trying to-
understand it, it's going to show the people that bond that we're planning for capital.
No, I like the idea.
And we're trying to,
But I think
and we're
that
trying to
increases our
contribute to both
interest.
too. We're not trying to ignore the general
The general
stabilization.
stabilization, right.
So you can see we're paying it back. But, you know what the purpose is. You've seen what's happened with capital in the
Oh,
last
absolutely.
5
We've
years.
been
It's
using-
just fallen so far behind.
Yeah.
Does this eliminate free cash at all? We're not going to use free cash for capital now, we're going to use the stabilization fund, and do you intend to pull
No,
something out of it
oh,
this
no,
year?
we can, we'll still do both, but this is just to tuck it away
Establish
for,
it.
yeah, so that we have the stabilization fund, so we don't, in other words, so that we don't get so we don't get free cash and just, oh, here you go, here's 10 transfers, now it's all gone. Or, like last year, you see how it just eats away. This is just more of, just to me, better financial planning, a better financial stability, and trying to plan for the future.
Okay.
What's our general stabilization on Melissa? Do you know
We
approximately?
tried around $1 million. I
We
think,
were like
did it.
1 million, well, of course, we
Had it.
borrowed from it, but.
So we still have approximately $1 million in the general.
Oh, yeah.
And this will give us $500,000 in the capital,
Right.
approximately.
Well, that just puts us at 1.5 billion in stabilization
Right.
funds, which is great.
No, absolutely.
My question is, we used to use free cash. You still have a capital, you have a huge list of capital projects.
Yeah,
You're probably gonna pull some of this out
Yep.
this fiscal year.
well, what we're gonna use, we're gonna use some of the free cash, so this is to.
So
tuck
there is some
away-
free cash.
Yes,
Well, let me
yes.
ask you that. How much free cash
Here, actually,
is remaining
I think
after we pull these out?
There's 1.2 million in
stabilization?
General stabilization account.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. And our free cash, the total of
1.677,698.
698.
1.698 million?
Yeah, 1.677698.
Ooh.
But the breakdown on that, for retained earnings was.
Oh, that's for both.
Yes.
No,
Wait a minute.
Is
no.
retained earnings separate from that?
Yeah.
retained earnings is
One-
1,669,899.
899.
Wow. How does that happen in retained earnings?
Here it is.
How does-
This
is
one's
that
a lot, this
return?
one's a lot easier to follow.
Remember the conversation about this building across the street?
And see, this is why we're
No.
being really cautious. This free cash is not a typical free cash.
No, it's huge.
Now, last year, we got a really good free cash, and remember we got hit right off the top, 325,000 to DEP.
Right.
And then we had, then we had all the, fund the different contracts. So this is unusual. You got 15 Cottage Street, and you got Parsons Street. So this is like an unusual one. So we felt this is the time, let's not just spend it all, let's tuck
Set
it,
aside.
start a new.
But it still leaves us with quite a bit. You're
Yes.
only using 700,000 of it, of the general free cash, which leaves us with
Right.
9 or so left, 900,000 left for other projects.
Right.
So that in other words,
Which
there's
we
still money for
sorely
that.
need.
I think it's
But we
great.
just, want to kind of tuck some away, so, and
I think it's fine.
this was, when we were doing the bonding and everything, this came out as this should be, this is, a financial plan, and, and Val and Melissa, and I totally agree. This is, just trying to get some, strong financial stability for the future. But it's also, I think, very evident of what we've been, and it's not basically our fault what we've been doing with free cash, but you see it. It's just, why, with the capital plan, it's like, why?
There's a lot of
You know?
cities and towns that have nothing. in this.
Exactly.
We've always
So-
we've always been good about this, and I love it. I love it.
So the reason it's so high, you recall that we had a large tax title at 15 Cottage. We don't normally collect tax title because we don't have tax title because Betty does a phenomenal
Luckily.
job
Luckily.
Of collecting the taxes.
Yes.
collecting the taxes.
So this was
that-
an overdue tax that finally came
That was
in.
our largest one ever.
Right, so that's a it's not gonna
That's
happen
not gonna
again.
happen next year.
But
you
there
know?
was both a large sewer lien there
Mhm.
and a huge tax
So you-
of prior years.
Which had to be paid off when they bought it, so that's,
That's why we have, and that's why
huge.
the,
Well, we have to take advantage of the lottery win when we,
Exactly, so what we're, again, being conservative, what we're afraid of is just because you got it, and it's a great year, doesn't mean you spend it.
Right.
So that's why we
we
wanted
want to put away.
well, I think that's great.
So
But
that
the
we've
fact
got
that you're
some type of
splitting it into capital tells bonding agencies, et cetera, that you're not just planning to put money in a rainy day account, but you're
Right.
planning for capital improvement.
Right, which we need to.
And you still have 900,000, you're gonna do some capital this year
Yeah.
with that money.
Yeah,
I'm ready to move everything at once. The request of stabilization and each of the figures. I don't know if you need 3 separate motions or not, Mr. Chairman.
We can do them.
I believe that there's a separate
Oh,
motion
for
to
the-
create the.
Yes, I think we gotta
Right.
do
Well, that has to be done at the council level, that's all.
right.
At the council level, you have to
So-
have a motion for that.
Let me just get these out here. So, I'll make a motion that we recommend that the full city council approve Chapter 90, Section 5B to establish a capital stabilization fund. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second to ask the full council establish under Chapter 45B a capital stabilization fund. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll
So
make
I will
a-
make that, I don't think we need a public hearing probably on that? That wouldn't be something we would...
I don't think so.
Wouldn't think we-
You have to have a public hearing on the two appropriations.
On the two appropriations.
I'll make a motion that we approve both appropriations of 161,797 and 520 into both stabilization accounts as requested by the mayor. Does that work?
Works for me. So we have a motion, a second, to approve both of the supplemental appropriations involving stabilization, one for $520,000 from free cash to the capital stabilization, the other in the amount of $161,797 from free cash to general stabilization. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, this one, I will definitely set a public hearing on these two, and
For the December meeting.
I'll try for the December meeting, and I'll try to find out, I'll ask Barbara if she feels we need a public hearing on establishing the,
I did talk with her about the language, so I don't remember what she said about that, but we can look up the last time we
Right.
established one.
okay.
That
so-
was for the insurance stabilization.
And see if we can, if we need to have a public hearing on it. If we need to have a public hearing, we'll set all three the same night and just put them in the order that we establish the fund first, and then we fund the funds after. So-
Exactly. And I have the exact date of when we did that the last time, so Barbara can just double check.
If we
on
can't
that.
vote on it, we have to vote on one the same night, but we have to vote on the first
But
one.
that's why I said we'd have to establish it first.
But I
and-
think we can do it the
in there.
next meeting. I don't think we need a public hearing.
Right, but,
Yeah,
well,
I'll check.
right, I'll check with that. And
We
get the,
want to do this
and get the.
authorization to borrow funds?
Yes, because I did have a few questions on that, not again that.
Okay, I'll stay.
Okay, let me just get that one out. Hang on, that's Melissa's. You can explain this.
What is it about?
So we have a few bonds that are older that we can refinance because the interest rates are better now. And the only reason that we're looking at that is because we have a short-term borrowing for the remainder of the high school project. We have about $2.5 million, actually $2.4 million, that we roll over a little bit each year so we finish, like, closing out the project. So when we have to go out to bond to finalize that, and so while we're paying bonding fees, which are costly, we should look at, do we wouldn't do a refinance on its own necessarily, because the
It's
process
costly.
of getting the legal opinion and the bond rating is expensive. So, but since we're going to have to do a bond anyway, and there are a few bonds that have, I don't want to say they're in the 4 to 6% range, and maybe we could get them in the 3 to 4% range to save on interest through the balance of them.
So you refund bonds by borrowing new bonds to pay off the old ones at a lower rate?
Just like when you rebuy your house.
Just as refi? It's just a refi?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And like she said, we wouldn't do it if we weren't already, doing this with the high school, because, there's obviously an expense to it. We're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
So might as well save some money. I think it's a great idea.
How
Good.
much will we be refinancing? Total 2.4, you said?
Well, 2.4 is the high school, what's left that's not permanently borrowed for the high school, and then this is another $1.5 million.
So, and what are we looking at for rates now versus, like the 4 and the 5? They've been
3,
2.5 to 4.
Over what period of time will we?
20 years?
No, we
10
don't
to 5 years?
refinance these for 20 years. We'd only refinance them for the length that's
was
left
left
on
on
them.
them.
So you're not going to extend them?
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
so-
so
so-
there's like another 8 years.
So if there's 8 years, you're going to go out 8
Like,
years?
I
8
think
more
there's
years,
one that's
lower rate.
5, and one
Exactly.
that's 8.
At a lower rate, which
It
is,
saves interest.
yep.
How much money do you think we'll save?
I don't know exactly, but it doesn't hurt us to
Enough to
find
fund
out,
the mayor's rate.
Good.
because we're gonna do a
Right.
bonding anyway, but I
Right.
do need permission to,
I move to
refund.
approve.
I second.
Yeah, I have no problem. We have a motion, a second, to approve the, guess we call it the
Refinance.
refinings.
Refunding,
Authorization to
to
issue
issue
refunding bonds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We could vote on that at the...
Again, that's another one I'll check to, if we can vote it in, we'll
Yep.
vote it in at the next meeting. If
Great.
we have to have a public hearing, we'll put all 4 of them on the same
I
night.
think you do, just because,
Public hearing?
yeah, because like when you do a borrowing, and this came from our,
Yeah, I remember last
Essentially a
time.
borrowing.
We're
Just a-
reborrowing. We're just
reborrowing,
refinancing.
Saving money instead of borrowing money
Yeah.
to increase the amount that we're.
So then I'll set a public hearing for this one. and-
yeah, I'll
and-
double check tomorrow, but I just feel like,
Yeah, I think,
I'd rather be safe.
And we
It's
have
not,
enough
it's not
time.
like
I
it's,
think we have to have a
Right,
public
it's not like
hearing
we're
because
under-
you're
it's not new
authorizing
money,
a borrowing.
it's still, but it's still another borrowing.
And again, if we
Really
didn't have to
5
bond, we
after
wouldn't be
8,
doing
is
it.
it?
no, it's 6 minutes after 7.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that can't be right.
So,
Clock wasn't changed.
That's right.
we've done everything
Fall down
tonight
the
except the trailer,
Trailer.
and we'll do that in the next one, and we'll keep the
Retirement thing.
retirement on the next one.
The 24th.
Motion to adjourn?
Next meeting is the 24th. I'll put that in the...
And the next meeting is at,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
let me shut this off.